All right, good evening, everyone. This is Government TV. My name is Godwin Oguche, and I'm excited to bring this special broadcast to you this evening. It's the 14th of February, 2022, and it's the Valentine's Day all over the world. I believe that you have had a great day. I believe also that this has uh, brought some great joy to you, well, depending on the kind of understanding you have about St. Valentine's Day. And so this evening, we're going to have a very special conversation on the subject of Valentine with understanding. Valentine with understanding. And I have a crack team of relationship experts, men and women from various fields of human endeavor who have something to say concerning the subject of love and how you may have understanding with respect to the subject of the matter that we're discussing today, St. Valentine's Day. But we have known over the years that the understanding of the celebration of Valentine has been misconstrued. It has been taken to the level where people actually live like Valentine's Day is for immorality and for all sorts of vices. But the truth remains that whatever has an original does have a counterfeit. And so uh, Valentine's Day has got its original understanding and its original meaning and how we should go about it. As a matter of fact, it should be a lifestyle that we express love, we live with love, and we should be able to espouse that virtue on a constant basis. And so I'm going to do a brief introduction of my panelists this evening. And I would like to start with our guest from the city of Kaduna, northwest Nigeria. He is Mr. Oluseun Wikiman. He is a teacher, he is an author, he is a researcher, he is an engineer, an ICT consultant, and he's a founder of Greenlight Learning Center in the city of Kaduna. Mr. Wikiman, you're welcome to Government TV special broadcast on this Valentine's Day.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, my boss. It's a privilege to be here doing this with you. I really, really appreciate it. I hope you can hear me clearly.
Yes.
I hope you can hear me clearly.
I can hear you loud and clear. Yes, go ahead. I can hear you loud.
All right. Thank you very much, sir.
It's all right. That's Mr. Wikiman, all the way from
the
north.
Yeah, I'm honored to be here. Thank you.
State of Kaduna. You're welcome. And joining us from the city of Makodi is a man I would like to call a childhood friend, a senior in ministry. He is Reverend Dave Ogbole. He is a clergyman. He is a community driver of change and a justice crusader.
Thank you very much.
He is the he's the principal special assistant to the governor of Benue State on strategic investment and knowledge economy. Reverend Dave, thank you for joining us from the city of Makodi. It's a pleasure to have you. Reverend Dave is joining us on his way
Happy Valentine, Godwin.
Happy Valentine. I was the Colors of Love Festival right there in the city of Makodi. I watched a brief
Happy Valentine.
All right. We will bring you up in a moment. We also have from another part of a city, actually a few meters away from where I'm sitting. He is my Val always, every day, and she is Juliana Olopo Guche. She is the executive director of the Deborah Spam Humanitarian Initiative based in Kano, Northwest Nigeria. She is also a youth development expert and a homemaker. Juliana, you're welcome to Government TV. It does appear as if your microphone is muted. We can hear you.
Thank you, darling.
All right.
Hello,
all
good
right.
evening, everyone.
Good evening. Good evening. Also joining us from another part of Kano City is the exceptional Benita Samuel. She is a self-taught influencer, CEO and Benny Expressions. At Benny Expressions, she's a photographer, she's a teacher, she's a voiceover artist, and a movie producer. She's all wrapped in one. Benita, you're welcome to Government TV.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. Happy Valentine's.
Happy
Thank you so
Valentine
much
to
for
you.
having me.
So,
I'm grateful.
all right, so we'll start off the conversation immediately, and I'm going to start with Reverend Dave Obole, who will lead the conversation from where he is in Makodi. So, Reverend Dave, give us a perspective as to how we came about St. Valentine's Day and how we are celebrating it today in our modern way. Are we actually living up to the reason for this particular day? Let's have your take as a start off point.
Okay, thank you very much, Godwin Ogweche, for always creating a platform for us to raise conversations on sensitive but beneficial issues. Today is the 14th of February, a day dedicated to celebrating the patriot saint of love, Saint Valentine. There are many historical narratives as to, the origin of 14th of February as St. Valentine's Day, but we may not concern ourselves with all of those stories today. Just like Christmas, there are many angles or stories as to when Jesus was born, whether it is 25th of December or whether it is March. We do not have the accurate history as to the time he was born. But our gratitude is that a day was set aside to celebrate the greatest man who ever walked the face of the earth, which is Jesus Christ. Come to talk of Valentine. Our gratitude is that a day is set aside for people to be able to understand and also to demonstrate this all-important matter that is called love. I want to start by saying love is something that is one of the most used words in human vocabulary. It is also one of the most abused words in human vocabulary, all because people don't understand what love is. I took a census today. I took a research or a poll as to the definition of love. And a huge population of them, about 79% of the people said love is a strong feeling you have towards a person, a feeling of good that you have towards a person. Others say love is sacrifice. Others say love is this and love is that. But in the real sense, those are symptoms or byproducts of love. Just like you cannot reduce the Holy Spirit to a dove, all because it's one of the symbols of his manifestation. So also you cannot reduce love to a feeling. Because when you talk about feeling as a byproduct of love, it is not only affectionate feelings that demonstrate love, aggressive feelings. Aggression also demonstrates love. For instance, when God embraces you and meets your needs, that's his affectionate, feeling. But when he also turns in his wrath against your enemy, that's an aggressive, outburst of his. So both aggression and affection, they are all demonstrations of love. But because of the myopic view of love, it is limited to just the affectionate demonstrations. But in the real sense, love is the flame of God that powers his operation. Songs of Solomon chapter 8 verse number 6. It says love is strong as death. Verse 8 says many waters cannot quench love because love is like a flame. So just like combustion powers an engine to move, love is the flame that powers God into action. And anywhere you see love in demonstration, you see God in action. So love is the nature of God at work in man that seeks to do other fellow human beings good. So that is the essence of Valentine. And because of the lack of understanding of what love is, you see that Valentine has been misconstrued as a day to demonstrate lust. But it is actually a day
Mm.
to demonstrate love, because the patriarch saint of Valentine was a saint. He was not, a drunkard or a woman chaser or whatsoever. So, in the spirit of Valentine, what we should do should be something saintly and not something on the gross and immoral side. So, that's my take on the origin and significance of Valentine.
Thank you so much. That's an incisive one to start off the conversation. Let me come to Kanu, where Benita is waiting in the wings. Benita, what do you think is responsible for the twist that we have brought into the celebration of love generally? At Christmas, Christ came for the purpose of love. God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. But during Christmas, you find people celebrating wrongly. You find people celebrating by drinking and doing all sorts of evil vices. So, what is with us as human beings that we would always um, take out of context what is actually supposed to be right? We will take out of context Christmas, we take out of context Easter, we take out of context Valentine, and and no matter how you want to appeal to the mindset of people, they seem to see you as a different species of human beings. So, what is actually the challenge? How may we understand um, this and make people understand from the point of view of what true love really is?
Okay. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate. Thank you so much for having me. It's always fun to share a virtual seat with you. Thank you so much. And thank you everyone that is part of this program. It's indeed a great thing to be here. Like I said, I'm a voice on a mission and I will keep speaking even when I'm heard. So today's another time to talk about love, love, love. All right, so thank you so much for that question. All right, I won't go into say okay, let's define love, let's define Saint Valentine's, or let's start defining people's definition. Now, what I want us to understand is that whatever you define is from your point of view. Whatever I define is from my perception and my perspective of that particular thing. Like recently, I worked on a book that's actually it's not live yet on Amazon, and I talked about self love. And during the time I was actually, doing some research for the book, I realized that there's so many things we take out of context, especially those. One of the thing is about love. We think it should be the way we feel from the other person to us, not knowing that that person has a different definition of what we define according to our own definition. You come to talk about love, it's a special feeling, a feeling of a kind of contentment, kind of happiness and joy, maybe towards someone or towards you, but whatever you feel like, whatever you think it is, it's how you define it. That is why people always tend to make it look like the way they feel, not the way you feel. While
Mm,
writing, while working on this project, on this book, I realized a lot of things. One of the things is that my love language is different from your love language. And there is no way I'm going to show you my love language and you will understand it. You might understand something close to it, but not exactly what it is. So you're going to definitely think, okay, I'm not doing the right thing by saying, okay, love is supposed to be shared with someone, or love is supposed to be special, or love is supposed to be a personal thing, or this way. You're going to think I'm taking it out of context, but that's my definition of it. That's how I think it is. That's how I feel it to be. That's how I have built the kind of system or understanding I've had about it since I was young until it became a part of me, became part of my belief system. So we take things out of context, like let's say we feel like, okay, this is how it's supposed to be because this is how I believe it. This is how I see it. This is how I feel it. This is how I think it. This is how I want it to be. This is how it should be. So because of all this, this is how it should be, this is how I believe it, this is how I want it to be. You don't even take time to find out exactly what that thing means. These days growing up, I keep hearing, I love you, you look good, I love you, I would want to be with you, I want you to be my val, I want you to be my this, I want you to be my that, and this and that. And like it got to a point like I was just tired. This I love it started sounding like overused, overused something. So I was like, okay, what exactly is this? Like, what exactly is this love? So you can actually give exact meaning to a particular thing until you have sat down yourself to understand its true meaning. Else, you always take it out of context. You always be your own way about it, not understanding people's value about it, just about you, all about you, or all what from what you think. I understand that we're celebrating love on this Valentine's Day, and we are actually, a lot of the young people we've taken it out of how it's supposed to be, thinking about ourselves, thinking about how to make the other person better. What we think about is how to spend the night. Some ladies how to spend the night, how to go clubbing, how to make sure that your love is understood. And they think that the only way that this love can be understood is by maybe as a lady giving yourself to a guy. And some guys think that on Valentine's Day, if you don't visit them, if you don't come to see them, you're actually not doing the right thing. I had an experience in 2016, yes, early 2017. We had a program on the 14th of February. I was a guest minister. I had a song ministration, and I had a guy who was around. And I told him, okay, I showed him the program. I had a program. I'm one of the ministers. Okay, fine. The program was 6 o'clock in the evening. I'd finished everything I wanted to do, and then I went. When I came back and I spoke to him, he flared up like, "Oh, you went with another guy. You went out. You supposed to spend Valentine with me. I'm supposed to be special. I'm supposed to mean this. I'm supposed to mean that to you. Everything. You're supposed to come to my house." I said, "I don't understand. I told you I had a program. This is what it's about. I don't go clubbing. I don't go night. What? You know my program. This is how it should be."
He
So
was chiking
everyone,
you.
it's
He
no,
was chiking.
it's
And I think
trying to
that
be
is what a lot of people do because they have very little understanding of what love really means. And that's one of the reasons
understanding.
why this program is up and running. And the more we talk about loving with understanding and understanding the meaning of true love
Mhm.
from the perspective of how God wants us to live, then we are going to continue to have this kind of narrative displayed because it never ends well. You tell somebody, I love you, because
Never.
you want something from them. And once you get that something, you are done. That's not what love is.
You're
That's
done.
lost.
It's
And
difficult.
that's what our first speaker was trying to establish. And I thank you for that perspective. I'll
Hmm.
come back to you. Let me go to Kaduna where Mr. Wikiman is. Mr.
Okay.
Wikiman, it's nice to have you back on stream. So,
Thank you.
can you hear me?
I can hear you clearly, sir.
So, what's the
I
mood
can
in
hear you
Kaduna
clearly.
like concerning the Valentine's Day?
Well, the mood is bright. A lot of people moving up and down. Me and my wife, we actually went to the gym, our usual routine. And I think at the gym they
Okay.
also had a Valentine party, and they made all of us share gifts to one another. So I think it has been not bad. But I'm back home since I don't really stay out late so much, so I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's happening
Outside there.
outside, but I know
All right.
Kaduna
So,
they
so
enjoy
give us
themselves.
give us your thoughts on what you think we should do on a day like this, side by side with what is happening right now amongst many people.
Yes, just in my usual, I write a lot. Even the two speakers that have been speaking, me, I've just been writing because anytime I have opportunity to come to a session like this, I actually come to learn. The pastor Obule made a statement I love. He said, "Love is the flame that powers God's
Mm.
operation." When you asked the previous speaker the question on why the notion of Valentine has been distorted, Then I remembered a game we played while I was training in a banking school, while I was a banker. I'm sure you are aware of that game. They will arrange like 10 people in a circle, and then you will pass an information to the next person. Maybe you told the person that the quick brown fox jumped over a basket.
Yes.
By the time the information goes round, goes round and comes back to you, just like you introduced me, I am an engineer and we
Yes.
study communication. And something about communication engineering is that when you transfer information from one source to another, the information passes through a channel. And based on the response, so we call it a channel response, the information you get at the end, you can be so sure is not what was transmitted.
And different from
all right?
what you actually
Different.
passed on here.
Do you know I discovered something while studying this story of Valentine? A very key, important fact. The Saint Valentine's story happened many years ago. So there are a lot of still assumptions and a lot of patches to the story. But one majorly accepted history is that Valentine was not matchmaking boyfriend and girlfriend. Valentine was not creating sex pleasure. According to what I heard, the king was restricting young men from getting married, probably because of war. And Saint Valentine, understanding that marriage is an ordinance from God, he understanding that one of, the Bible says it, I think in Timothy, that in the last days, people will refuse to marry. He saw that this was not, because now when you stop people from getting married, and these are military men, I've worked with military men before, you know what happens. Valentine's Day, ultimately, if I am not in any way against young people trying to know themselves. When I say young people, I'm talking about in the context of doing what the Bible says, in the context of being mentored. There's nothing wrong, but it is not for fun. People like it or not, Saint Valentine was helping those soldiers to conduct secret wedding. So this was a man that understood that it is the ultimate aim of the love. Especially, we know in the Bible we have 4 types of love. We know all those things from Bible school. I don't have to go into all those things. So at least for now, we are just not talking about even like today. I bought gifts by God's special grace. My wife bought gifts from every member of the family. So we are not talking of only romantic love, but because we know that the romantic love aspect is where the devil has reared his ugly head. I have spoken to women, ladies, who got pregnant on Valentine's Day. A particular lady told me that the day she got pregnant was on Valentine's Day, and ever since that time, her life changed. All right. So, but because this fact has not probably been transmitted properly to generation, that look, the Saint Valentine that we are talking about was actually concerned with helping soldiers to get married. And that is congruent with the word of God, where God says that any form of romantic or sexual relationship must be in the confine of marriage. That being settled, then we are moving the right way. All right. So I believe that, like you said, in a day like today, we should show love, okay, to everyone, because the story also has it that Saint Valentine was also helping. In fact, there was another part of the legend that he was actually helping tortured prisoners and things like that. The first thing that today should be a day of love and sacrifice. So now look at the word sacrifice. It is a spirit of sacrifice that will make you tell a young girl, even though I love you, but I am not going to have sex with you. That is sacrifice. Nobody can deny the emotions of the human body. Nobody. I was listening to Bamiloye, the Mount Zion man. I was listening to his son giving. I love the testimony the boy gave. It was very frank. He said for many years he was going through the spirit of immorality. He said, but he understood that if he must not destroy his own future, then he must keep himself pure. So Valentine's Day is actually that day that you demonstrate that you love that lady by telling her that take your gift, go back to your father's house. Now, she might not end up marrying you. Yes, she might not
Yes.
end up marrying you. It is not about. I'm sorry to say, sometimes I love being very, very raw. You know, that's just me. Yesterday, I overheard a guy said that his friend married I mean, his ex married his friend, and many times, him and the ex, they have had all manner of relations in the guy's house. And eventually, and that he never opened his mouth to tell his friend that this is what me and my ex were doing in your house. So you see, those are people that don't understand the meaning of love. If you understand what love means, it is sacrifice. That is the day you are going to put down all the lust and show that I can wait until marriage. But the moment it becomes a day of sexuality, drinking, adultery, lust, then that is not Saint Valentine's Day. That is Saint whatever. You don't even know it's Saint. It is. I don't
I
know what.
wrote I wrote an article. I wrote an article several years ago, and
Yes, sir.
I asked a question: Valentine or Lantivine? And I defined Lantivine
Exactly.
as lost. I defined Lantivine as lost. So let's go to Makodi and continue the conversation. Uh, Reverend Dave, good evening again.
Good evening, Godwin Oguche.
Yeah. Now,
Thank you.
now, building on what Wikiman has said, I remember he talked about the fact that Saint Valentine was secretly arranging marriages for soldiers against the Roman emperor's command for men not to marry, maybe because of war and all of that. Now, looking at it from the contemporary context, a lot of marriages are having it very rough right now. Even as we speak, there are people who are just cohabiting and they are not really married in the sense of marriage. Now, what would you advise them to do in the context of what we're talking about with respect to true love? There are a lot of things that could be wrong, that could be the trigger point for marriages that are ailing. What would you advise such couples to do starting from today with the understanding they should have about love?
First of all, like to say that there's a difference between marriage and hire purchase.
Marriage and hire purchase.
Yes. Hire
That's a
purchase is
tweetable. That's a tweetable quote.
yes. Hire purchase is when you say the girl say you don't do something for my head. Full ceremonies that both on the cultural and the spiritual side have not been done, but the girl moves into his house. Then they are cohabiting, like you rightly said. If you
Yes.
truly love a person, Wikiman said love is sacrifice. And when it comes to sacrifice, it's not necessarily the big things that move love. Big
Mm.
doors are moved by small locks. Small locks are opened by small, big gates have locks, and then big locks are moved by small keys. So you must not impress your friends and enemies in a lavish wedding. But if you fulfill the necessary rites and a pastor blesses you, even if it's just in the presence of few witnesses, reception is not a must. Those are alien cultures that we borrowed up here. Souvenirs in wedding and all of those matters. The fear of souvenirs, impressing friends and enemies, is the beginning of delayed marriages.
Mm.
So I would recommend that instead of cohabiting, just take the courage, make the sacrifice to formalize that relationship so that the woman can have the confidence that she has a future with you. The man can have the confidence that he has a future with you. And the children can grow within the bond where they have the confidence that this, informal arrangement will not be dissolved one day. Marriage is a more binding thing. So that's the first thing I will say. Then for ailing marriages, what I will advise is that you see that every marriage that goes sour began sweet. But over time, people take for granted the respect, the attention that they should give to nurturing marriages.
Hmm.
Should be treated like a garden. And until you weed the gardens, prevent rodents from entering, you can never have a consistent, a good, and a sustainable harvest. So over time, the respect, the beauty of marriage becomes sacrificed on the altar of familiarity. And the moment familiarity takes in or takes the center stage, the woman does not feel loved any longer. The man does not feel respected any longer. They, when a visitor comes into the house, they go and bring the beautiful porcelain dishes and serve the visitor, whereas the man is served in rubber plate, all because of familiarity. All of those things. By the time familiarity takes center stage, marriage begins to ail. And number two reasons why marriage is ill now is the rat race, to make economic ends meet. So they don't really have time to bond and to have fellowship with each other. Anything you starve, that thing dies. Starve an animal,
Hmm.
it dies. Starve a relationship of communication and fellowship, and then it dies. So people are beginning to starve marriages of the necessary communication and fellowship that should make it grow. All because of the rat race of the man racing this side for bread, the woman racing the other side for bread, and then the children are just left in between. As I speak to you right now, by statistics, 48% of children are going to bed in America in a house that one of the parents don't live in. America is becoming like a fatherless generation, a fatherless society. It's creeping back into Africa now, where Africa is becoming a fatherless society. Nigeria, too. Children out of wedlock is glorified now. They call it baby mama or baby daddies. Those are the glorified names for children out of wedlock. But they grow dysfunctional psychologically because that void that the presence of both parents, will feel inside of him, that void is still there if the father is not at home. Particularly for boys, there can be the advice of a mother, but there's something about the tone of a father that helps to get a boy back in line. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. So there's
Yeah.
race for bread up and down. It's making families not to have time together. Children are neglected. Their love bond is neglected also. So marriages are actually ailing, from a lot of factors. But it is just to slow down. It's just to slow down, and begin to give renewed attention. If you start out in the right direction for so long a time, even your spouse will forget that you ever walked in the wrong direction. It's just to slow
Hmm.
down and to start again. So that's what I will advise couples to do. And then make up your mind. In this one life, one wife is enough. I'll make this marriage work. That commitment is what makes it enables you to pay the price that you need to pay to be able to make an early marriage sweet again. So that's my advice to couples who have early marriages today.
Thank you so much, Reverend Dave. We'll come back to you for your final take on the subject. Let's return back to Kanu, where Benita is waiting. Benita, I would like for you to speak on the need for young people to develop self love. There are people who are feeling sad today because there is no vow, nobody came to take them out. And they are feeling left out, they are feeling very alone. And so, does a young person really need a partner to be able to feel fulfilled? Where does relationship fit into the concept of purpose and fulfillment when a man or a woman is not whole? By my understanding, um, getting into a relationship may not actually make the person fulfilled, because you have to bring something to the table. If you have to wait for another person to make you whole, then I believe that your wholeness needs a lot of rearranging. So speak to young people who are feeling out of place today. Maybe they are not engaged, they're not in a relationship, and they're feeling out of place.
Sure, thank you so much. Honestly, I really appreciate all the speakers already because they're saying amazing things. I'm like, just okay, taking this in. The thing is, you don't need a relationship to feel fulfilled. You don't need another person's love to make you complete. You don't need another person's love to be who you were created to be. You don't need another person's validation to achieve purpose in life. You, as a person, you were created as you. You were created for a special purpose. And that purpose wasn't supposed to like waste and wait until you have someone in your life, or a boyfriend or a husband or whatever you call that person. It doesn't have to wait until then. First thing you must note is that you are an amazing personality created by God. And God Himself is love. And He wouldn't create anything outside love. And we look at ourselves like, maybe you might think you're not beautiful, you're not good enough, or you're not handsome, you don't have what it takes to be in a relationship. That's why this vow that everybody's talking about it, you are not out there with someone. No, I heard something today, a friend of mine that I went out with, who said a guy transferred 1 million naira as a vow gift to his girlfriend. I'm like, what happened? you know when you hear things like that, you're like, okay, so I'm not good enough, that's why I don't have someone special, so I'm not amazing, that's why I don't have someone special, I don't have the right calls, I don't have the right relationship, the right educational background, I don't have the right connection, the right people, the right persons, the right place, I wasn't born in the right family, I wasn't born in the right country, in the right state, the right people, I'm not attending the right church, I'm not with the right kind of group and all that. Yes, you may not be in the right place, but that doesn't stop you from being who you were created to be. I was writing something about escape from negative when I actually came across self acceptance. It's one of the books I'm working on. And I sat down to analyze what has been happening in my life. If you're one person who have come to accept who you truly are, you will realize that other people's love is only there to complement you,
Mm.
to complement you, not to complete you. Remember, there's this saying that you cannot give from an empty cup. So you too cannot drink from an empty cup. You don't expect somebody's son or somebody's daughter to come to you when you can't accept yourself. You don't expect, to someone to say I love you and stay with you when you yourself do not love who you are. You don't understand how important and valuable you are. You don't expect to, be boasting about Valentine when you don't have anything good to talk about yourself. The focus is, okay, I want to have a boyfriend, I want to have a girlfriend, I want people to see me, I want to enter a certain clique or club or gang, so I need to have someone around me to get there. No. Hey, no. Hey, no. You were not created to wait until then. What if you are 25 today and you're not married, you are 30? What if you are 30 today, you're not married until you're 35 or 40? Will you have to wait until then to feel complete and fulfilled? No. You were created complete from the beginning. The only thing making you feel left out because someone else has a vow and you don't have is that you have not accepted who you are. You have not accepted yourself. You have not learned to forgive your past mistakes, and you have not learned to celebrate the little opportunities you have to show up as a great personality. You might be young, you might not have anyone around you, but you don't need all of them. You don't need them to be complete. You have to, first of all, feel complete before whatever someone else is giving you will make you able to cherish that. I'm working, like I said, a book I'm posting. I don't know if you have seen it on my status. I said sold out to self-love. And in sold out to self-love, I took time to analyze the fact that you have to love yourself first before you can give out love. I said love
I think
starts
I
with
I think
me.
you will hold your thought there. I think that's that, like I said to Reverend Dave, that's a tweetable quote. You, if you can't give out from an empty cup,
No way. No
if you
way.
don't have love, you can give. The
There
Lord
is
said
no
you
way.
should give, you should love your neighbor as yourself. So
Yourself.
the measure with which you love another person, the measure with which you love yourself is is what you will use to love another person. That's a very
That's
powerful thought
that's even
there.
how you'll be able to understand the value of the love
Yeah,
you're getting from the other person. Else you won't. You will desire
absolutely,
it.
absolutely.
You desire it. Once it's given to you, you will not know how to handle it.
All right,
Thank you
we
so
will go to
much.
Kaduna and take the last thought from our man in Kaduna, Wiki Man.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I like for you to speak on young men. There seem to be a large percentage of young men who are irresponsible today.
Hmm.
In our day, I'm a child of the 70s, and
Hmm.
like Reverend Dave, we were born in the 70s. We grew up through the 80s, and by the time were 14, 15, 16, we were already responsible. We were already taking care of ourselves, taking care of our siblings. But today's young men seem to be um, fixated with other things rather than developing a future for themselves. And some of the
Hmm.
things that occupy the mind of young men today is the opposite sex. Like,
Hmm.
as you know, the number of girls that you are able to date and lay, like they claim, it's an achievement. With that kind of mindset, it is now it's what has brought about the kind of lifestyle that we have today, that young men of the 20s, the 30s are behaving like babies, and it is actually a disaster.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It is.
on a day
It
like
is.
this, you find such young men all over the place. Now,
Hmm.
if we complain about the fact that a lot of ladies are of easy virtue, it is because
Hmm.
they have patronage.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's because they
Yeah.
have partners in the crime of making their virtues so easy. If you don't have men who go to the red light district on a day like this to look for ladies or for strangers in the name of Valentine, then of course their trade will not be profitable. So
That's
speak
true.
to the heart of young men today.
Hmm.
As we commemorate this day, there is a need for young men to begin to live responsibly, because
That's true.
like Reverend Dave said, America is becoming a fatherless society. It is creeping into Nigeria. It is a fad today for somebody to have a baby mama, somebody who has a
Hmm.
child for you. I was
Hmm.
21 and I traveled to my village on leave at one point, and one of my aunts was asking me, you at this age you don't have a child? There are a lot of girls in this village. You can come
Hmm.
get one pregnant. And I was, this is supposed to be a mother figure advising me to go do
Hmm.
something that is wrong. And so parenting is
Hmm.
actually a challenge. But let's speak to young men here. How may we reverse the trend, because we are losing our young men?
Yes, Reverend Godwin, you are actually right. As you are speaking, I just remember the words of Dr. Miles Monroe, where he says that when purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable. And we can also blame this on the kind of orientation that, because there's this concept of when someone says now children are raising children. Yes,
Mm,
the kind of orientation we have now is, I'm telling you, when you go to social media, you need to see how some so-called parents behave. I don't blame the fact that, just like what someone says, that people born in year 2000, imagine 2000, remember when there was year 2000 millennium bug? They are 20 something years today, and
absolutely.
people at 21, 22, some of them are, of course, somebody gets married at 21, gives birth at 21. That is still almost, you're just coming out of teenage and you're already a parent. But aside
Mm,
aside that, we also have some parents who have just refused to evolve. And they don't know that those gaps, yes, those gaps that they have refused to fill. I mean, till today, sir, there are parents who will tell you that, Reverend Godwin, you get money. See all the money where they burn, they spend on social media. You think it's everybody that buys data on their phone? You think it's everybody that watches YouTube? There are some people, once you enter their house, morning to night is Nollywood.
mm,
Morning to night is Nollywood. Morning to night is home video. No self-development, no nothing. So now imagine the kind of children those kind of parents will raise. And as soon as there is neglect. According to what my brother was saying, a man is that is why look at they call the man a groom. Groom. Look at the word groom. Grooming. A man is actually the one responsible to dress and to shape the society. But it comes with a lot of mentorship. One of the most difficult things that a young man will never recover from is lack of mentorship. So when you see all those guys on the road, all right, all those guys on the road, the ones that are hanging out, like you said, looking for girls, many of them probably lacked that mentorship while they were growing up. Now, they are responsible. Let me say something to our young men. Look, if you look at some of the trends, for example, let's take a look at America. Maybe you watch the MTV or you watch the movies, and then you see all these rapper guys. Let me tell you something that a lot of people don't know. Even in the mind of some of those celebrities that our young boys are trying to fashion their life after, there is a heavy, should I call it, self-awareness that is creeping into the lives of these people. Let me just give some very few examples. Look at Chris Tucker. Recently, Chris Tucker was given a contract, I think, of about maybe $20 million to appear on another edition of there's this comedy they call Friday or something that was hosted by Ice Cube. Chris Tucker turned down that offer. And when they interviewed Ice Cube, so I'm using these contemporary examples so that our youth will see that even the people they are following, many of them are turning to God now. And when they interviewed Chris Tucker is one of the biggest in America. According to Ice Cube, he said Chris Tucker turned down the offer for religious reasons. And then when they interviewed Chris Tucker said, I can no longer go to stage and be smoking weed. Let's look at another example. I was listening to an interview by a popular rapper today, and the rapper said on many occasions he has told Snoop Dogg, stop smoking on screen. I mean, you will never expect that in America, with the hardcore hip-hop culture, things like this will be happening. Somebody standing up to Snoop and telling Snoop, Oga, enough. So our young men who think that is the life, this is what happens in the future. I can't start mentioning many of these guys are getting sober. Maybe because of age, I don't know. Many of them are getting sober. People are piping low. People are calming down. Can't you see that now when there is divorce? Many of them come. Those days when you divorce, like you said, they will say, baby mama, baby mama. But now look at someone like Kanye West, praying that God restore my marriage. I am using these examples to tell our young men, those people you are following, thinking they are the one that will shape your future, they are also making a U-turn. They are also accepting Christ. They are also turning to God. So what is the essence of moving in a journey that does not have the right destination? So I've said two things. Number one, a lot of problems hinges on lack of mentorship. But that does not exonerate you from the mistake. When you make the mistake, nobody will say because they didn't mentor you, you will carry the burden on your head. Therefore, we should try our best to do more mentoring. Number two, I have spoken directly to young men. You see, all this whiskey, all this Davido, all this Burna Boy, give them 10 years. You will be shocked. You will see them back in the church. Give them 10 years. You will be shocked. You will see them back in the church. And then you are killing yourself over people that even themselves, they know that this life I'm living is not the right life. I am not trying to be anybody's moral compass, but just like what you said, some things are wrong. You know, having a series of baby mama, there is nowhere in the original plan of God that God designed it to be that way. And just like I used to tell people, as soon as you have a product, you see, you have a product. This is a product. And you use this product in a way that is discordant from the manufacturer's manual, you are no longer covered. The only thing
Mm.
that can cover you is grace. And I'm telling you, that grace only comes through Christ Jesus. So if you are living that kind of life, you are living outside your warranty. You are living outside your guarantee. If you get back home today, hail, happy, and alive, understand that it is just the grace of God waiting for you to embrace Him and to give your life to Christ. Finally, I will say this: nobody should ever think, I am a believer. See, sir, I am a believer, but nobody can intimidate me. There is nothing that
Mm.
is happening anywhere in technology, in hip hop, in movie that I don't know. Being a believer does not reduce you. The Bible says God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and a sound mind.
The sound
Don't
mind.
ever think it is all about sagging your trouser. There is nothing there. In the word of God, you are covered. God will not restrict you. In fact, Bishop David Oyedepo used to make a statement I love. He said, if God tells you not to do something, it is for your own good. So all those things that we don't do as believers, all those things that we don't feed our eyes on, it is actually, that is the optimal environment. I was doing a simulation this evening and I was trying to look for what we call the maximum available gain. That is, if I
Mm.
power my transistor, what is the maximum gain? I know what the simulation tells me. If you present this load and present this load, you will get the maximum gain. So what God is saying, that stop having baby mama, stop committing sin, and that will maximize your life. But the devil is telling you those things is what is a lie. It is only God who created you to see that. Remove those menu from your life, and then you are going to see your gain and your life optimized. Thank you, sir.
I think young men should get a video of this and play it back to themselves over and
Hmm.
over and over and over again. Thank
Hmm.
you so much, Wiki man.
Thank you, sir.
We're
Thank you,
going
sir.
to have Reverend Dave's last take on the program this evening, and I would like for you to speak to young people who are heading towards the altar. Um, you just finished a program, the legendary Colors of Love, which now holds on special days like this. And I overheard you speaking to the young people earlier today on live Facebook on the subject of, love and the need to, be rightly positioned so that they are not deceived. Uh, on as a last take on this subject matter, what would you say to two persons who are heading to the altar and they suddenly discover that they don't have an aligned purpose? Their purposes are not aligned, and everybody around them already knows, and they seem to, okay, emotionally have feelings and love for each other, but there are things that if they continue with the relationship towards the altar, they may have issues. Maybe they are not aligned in the area of faith, they are not aligned in the area of how to handle finance, they are not aligned in the area of their respective aspirations for life. They keep arguing on those things. And it does appear as if the only area they agree is their emotional aspect, the feeling aspect. And I know that feelings don't last forever. In fact, there is a lifespan for, that strong sexual urge. So, what would you say to these young people uh, who are obviously bent on going to the altar, even though there are unresolved issues?
Okay, my strong advice is this: not every two good things mix well. You can't use ice cream to eat pounded yam.
That's okay. That's great. Uh, there is no way
I,
it won't work.
ice cream goes with meat pie, burgers. Those are what it's compatible with. Pounded yam goes with egusi soup, draw soup, and then we hear okoho, pocho. Those are the kind of things And in your Kaduna, you see me and Kuka, Karkachi, Yakwa. Pounded yam goes well with those things. Everything has its compatible partner. So every human being has somebody you are compatible with. Not every two good things mix. So if you discover that you have become pounded yam and ice cream, it is better that the ice cream separates to find a burger and the pounded yam separates to find a soup. That's what I will advise for you. Even if you live in the bond of marriage for 50 years, 50 years is a very long time. It matters who you wake up every single day to see. Let the person be somebody that your heart still goes after, somebody that you can develop lasting friendship with, so that when beauty and handsomeness fades, something will keep your hearts together, which is the bond of friendship and the purpose that both of you are committed to. It is never too late when you discover that you're on the wrong turn. You cannot increase speed on the wrong turn, on the wrong road, and arrive at your destination. The best thing to do is to make it 180 degrees turn. When you say 360 degrees turn, when you make 360 degrees, you are facing the same direction you are going. So it's 180 degrees turn you make. Then you face the opposite direction that you are going to. That's the best thing. Don't say, if I've missed this person, I've missed the bone of my bone and the flesh of my flesh. No. When it comes to the will of God in marriage, the will of God does not fall on a person, it falls on a set of characteristics. And one, two, three people can possess those sets of characteristics. They can form the will of God for you. Because if we say the will of God is one person alone, what if that person's will does not go with you? Does it mean you have missed forever? God will not be fair enough to tie your marriage will to just one person who has a right of yes and a right of no. So it falls on a set of characteristics. And anybody can match that set of characteristics and be the will of God for your life. For every unfit Barnabas, there is a waiting Silas. Don't insist on going in the wrong direction, even though you know this will not end well. So that's my advice for you. Take the courage to just separate. Let pounded yam find soup and let ice cream find burger.
Yeah, that analogy, I think, caught it for me, and I believe that anyone who is watching should understand exactly what that proverb means, and it has been explained. You can't eat pounded yam with ice cream, no matter how both of them are obviously food for the mouth, right? So you have to bring your reasoning into the place of that kind of relationship that would eventually bring about disaster to your life. So I like, on that note, to bring this conversation to a close. I'd like to thank Reverend Dave Obole uh, for taking the time to join us in spite of the fact that he just finished the Valentine's edition of the Colors of Love. We are so grateful. We thank you for always showing up for us at Gomnet TV.
Thank you. God bless you. Thanks for always creating the platform and raising conversations for people's lives to
Amen.
be better. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We also want to thank Mr. Wikiman, who joined us from Kaduna. Thank you for your incisive thought. Thank you also for
Thank you,
coming on
sir.
Gomnet
Thank you
TV
very
for the
much.
first time. We would like to have you
Yes.
again and again on
Surely,
this
surely,
platform.
surely. Thank you,
So
sir.
do have a lovely night and
You too.
enjoy the rest of the night. So that has been our take for Gomnet TV today on the subject of Valentine with understanding. And if you have joined us from the beginning, I can assure you that you are taking home a lot of benefits. I want to thank all those who joined us from different parts of the world. John Andrew has been with us from Abuja. Thanks for being here with us. I see your comment, and he's extending his thanks to all the panelists. And we also want to thank Benita Samuel, who joined us from another part of Kano, and my Val forever, uh, the Honorable Mrs. Juliana Olopo Oguche, who uh, uh, was not able to complete the process with us because her network connection has been very shifty this evening. And so I believe that some of these issues that have been brought forward has added value to your body of knowledge, and that you're going to go out there and put them into practice. You can do your friends a favor by sharing this video. The moment we go offline, it will still be available on the Facebook platform or the YouTube platform where we're streaming. You can pick it and share it with your friends. They will thank you for giving them the opportunity to have uh, this knowledge passed on to them. Once again, happy Valentine, and live responsibly based on all that we have shared. I'd like for you to join me on Thursday evening as I come back with a very special edition of the Better You TV show, which is holding and streaming on this platform of Gomnet TV. The Better You TV show is an it's a weekly TV program online that speaks to your understanding on four thematic areas of the spiritual, nation building, personal growth, and financial development. And my co host is the exceptional Dr. Moses Paul, who is a management and leadership consultant, a social activist, and the team lead of my church community in Abuja, Nigeria. Every Thursday evening by 9:15, we're here to talk about these issues. And for this month of February, we've been looking at uh, the Nigerian president that we need uh, come 2023. We have been speaking to these issues, and we have been asking that we get a better understanding of how we should engage the process going into this election cycle. So, nation building has been our theme for the month of February. Join me and Dr. Moses Paul every Thursday by 9:15 as we have this conversation. It's been a pleasure bringing this to you, and I am excited that we're able to do this today. And I'm assuring you that anytime you come online with us during our scheduled streaming, you are only going to go away with the value. Do have a lovely night and stay out of trouble. God bless you.